Sat down on my friend's MacBook and broke it, offered to pay her the money for it, but now she wants more because she was upgrading anyway, so it's this or she will sue me in small claims court. I had some of my friends over at my house and one of my friends invited one of her other friends to come over. She had her MacBook on my couch when I sat on it and broke it. Since it was completely my fault, I offered to pay her the money for it and she agreed. She got it 3 years ago and it cost $2,200 at the time. I told her I'd wire you the money in a week to her bank account. She's now emailed me saying that as per our conversation she's expecting the $2,700 that I have agreed for. I didn't know why she added the extra money, so I got her number from my friend and called her to find her, telling me she's now expecting me to pay for her new upgraded MacBook since she was upgrading anyway. She said if I don't agree to do that she'll be suing me in small claims court. Can a judge agree to that? Should I wire her the $2,200 or should I just tell her go sue me? Update: I went through every single comment from the 200+ ones and I sincerely thank each and every one of you. I did some research specifically for repairing the screen for the MacBook, and for her particular model it's around $310 for the screen plus the labor cost, so I wrote her back saying that since she didn't accept my initial offer of $2,200, I'm withdrawing that offer and offering to pay for the repair cost. She sent me an email calling me a bitch and that she's going to take me to court. I got served a few days later and went to court. I told the judge I gave her 3 options to choose from. 1. Either to write her a check for a brand new one, which was $2,200. 2. Get her a refurbished one from Apple or a third party or even used, which would be around $1,400. Or 3. Fix her current MacBook since the screen is the only thing affected here and it would cost around $300 plus money for labor. I printed out the email I sent her and the mail she sent back refusing, demanding the $2,700 and calling me a bitch and saying we'll go to court, plus screenshots for the price quotes from different websites for a new refurbished and the screen fix for her particular model, and gave it to the judge. I also told him that when I offered at the very beginning to get her a new one from the Apple Store, she said no, I want the money in cash. When I told her I'd give her $2,200 for a new one, she said okay, but later came asking for $2,700 because she wants to upgrade. I tried to show him how it's clearly visible that she's trying to take advantage of me. She gave the judge an attitude almost the whole time, which really pissed the judge off and helped my case, I guess. After listening to both of us, he ruled that I pay 50% of the repair cost since she negligently left her laptop on the couch. So I'll only be paying not more than $200 to $250 for the whole thing. If it weren't for you guys, I would have paid $2,200 instead of around $200, and I honestly loved her look at the end as we walked out. My 29F husband, 31M, got a paternity test on our daughter, 5F, and it came back negative, but I never cheated. Now he thinks our relationship is a lie and wants to divorce. What do I do? I don't know how it happened and I haven't been able to stop crying all day. I never cheated. I love my husband, we've been together since college and he's the love of my life, he's handsome and kind, and while I've slept with 2 other people, both were before we got together. There is no other potential father for our daughter. We were married already and actively trying for a baby. I never cheated, I never would cheat, and I don't know why he took that stupid test because I would never, ever cheat, but it came back negative and now he thinks he's not her dad. I don't know how to convince him it was a faulty test and I'm so scared. These past few months it's like he's become someone completely different from the man I married. He's cold and suspicious. He kept demanding to see my phone and wouldn't tell me why, and I showed him at first but eventually told him I wouldn't anymore unless he explained why. He's been distant with our daughter too. He stays in his office for hours on end, and I don't know what he's doing. I did not cheat. He accused me this morning, saying he'd done the test after realizing that our daughter's eyes, brown, wouldn't naturally come from ours, both blue, and that he wanted me to get out of the house. I didn't leave and he locked me out of our bedroom and now I'm in my daughter's room. This is terrifying. What should I do? Edit: the specific advice I want is how I can prove I'm innocent and how to make sure this relationship works. I want to keep my family together at all costs. Also, I just had a conversation with my husband. He's out of his room now, and we discussed some things. I told him again that I would never cheat and started talking about a list I made of tests I want done, but he told me that he didn't want to hear it right now. We're going to have a longer conversation tomorrow, and he said that he still loves our daughter, and he won't try to keep me out of the house or our room for now. I asked him to hug me and he did. I'm scared that I won't be able to convince him. I just want our family to go back to normal. How can I be a good wife and support his needs while proving my innocence? Update. Hi everyone. First off, I wanted to thank everyone who reached out. My original post got so much attention, it was hard to get to everything, but I ended up making a list of plans and tests I wanted to get done. My husband was, understandably, distrustful of me for a while, but he apologized for the way he acted, which I didn't need, and said that he wouldn't try to kick me out of our home. He did say, though, that if every test came back and I'd cheated, then he was going to go scorched earth. We did a few tests. Blood paternity tests for him and me, and our daughter, and we had an appointment with a chimerism specialist coming up, but that got cancelled because, well, some of you guessed it, but my daughter is not biologically mine either. I don't know how this happened, but a police officer came to our house and took our statements, and we're suing the hospital where I gave birth. I don't know what happened to my baby, and that is terrifying. I have my husband back, but my whole world was still upended, and I just wish he'd never taken that stupid test. I've been sleeping in my daughter's room, and I'm so afraid that she's going to be taken away from me, but at the same time I want to know where my biological daughter is, and if she's okay. I pray to God she's okay. My daughter still doesn't know the details, and we've been trying to keep this quiet. The last thing we need is a big scandal. I don't want people who know us to look at her differently. She deserves better than that. She's such a good kid, and she's not some spectacle to be gawked at. If we can find her birth family, I have no idea what we'll do. I guess the best case scenario would be to get a bigger house and all live together, but I don't know if we can afford that, or if they'd go for that, or even if we'll be able to locate them, or if I'm just crazy. This whole situation is crazy. I don't know anyone else who's been in a situation like this. I mean, are there support groups for parents of kids who got mixed up? I googled and nothing came up. Literally all I'm getting are tabloid articles from trashy magazines that slap the faces of innocent kids on the same pages as celebrity sex scandals and fiction. How do we tell our daughter? I mean, we can't tell her now, she'll tell the kids at school and then it'll be everywhere, but we have to say something. I don't know what I ever did to deserve this. Hello, everyone. So, apparently a YouTuber my husband watches called Mark Narrations decided that it would be a fun idea to read my post on his channel. My husband recognized the story, because, well, of course he recognized the story, how could he not? This doesn't happen every day. Then he went on my account page. Then he found quite a few comments about him that were not exactly nice. And now, he has asked me for a chance to post his side of the story on this account, so that people stop trashing him. Please be nice. So, I don't know how many of you have been down a self-doubt rabbit hole before, but it's not the most logical place to be. It's even less logical when you have the whole damn internet telling you that your wife is cheating, and that she's planning to take the house, and take you for all you're worth, and never really loved you, and you always sorta thought she was too good for you anyway, so you end up seeing everything as a sign of infidelity, and then you get not one, but 2 failed paternity tests on your daughter. When COVID happened, I got fat. I got depressed. I stopped feeling like a person. My wife stayed beautiful. She stayed herself. I was sure that she'd made a mistake. That she'd regret being with me. I started getting into some online groups, especially on Reddit, that were full of guys who'd been cheated on, lost custody, lost everything, and when someone said that his tip-off was that he and his wife both had blue eyes and their son had brown, I felt fucking stupid. I did not want to jump to conclusions, but when I made a post about my fears, everyone said that she was cheating. People said not to say anything, because she'd use it to hide her cheating and get ahead of me on the divorce. I got the test and I didn't really think it'd come back negative. Then it did. I didn't want to believe it, but yeah, I pulled back. I felt betrayed. I wanted to be a good husband, but I couldn't shake this. I tried to find evidence of an affair and failed. I got another test. When that one was also negative, I snapped. If you've ever been cheated on, you know what it feels like. When my wife denied it, I got angrier. I just wanted her to leave. I didn't want to go through what everyone seemed to think was going to happen. I didn't want to lose custody of my kid. I didn't want to lose my house. I was scared and angry, and I wanted the truth. I felt like if she couldn't even be honest, there was no getting past this. I took a few hours to calm down. When she came back with a list of tests to take, I tried to keep my cool. I tried to keep my cool for so long. I know I was wrong about the affair, but so was everyone else in my ear. My kid is genuinely not biologically mine. I didn't immediately consider that switched at birth was an option. I've been through a messed up time, and I don't think getting angry one time because I thought my wife cheated and was lying about it makes me a monster. Hi, it's fully faithful wife here again. I just want to say that one. I agree that he's not a monster, an abuser, or anything of the sort. 2. I do not agree that he's fat. I love this man very much and have for ages, and we are not going to let this situation break our marriage. Thank you to everyone for all your help. My 9-year-old sister was sent to boarding school but never came back. And I suspects foul play and thinks parents and grandma are involved. Throw away because this is seriously terrifying. I scope Reddit a lot and I really don't know where to go, but I hope I can be helped here. I'm 14M, I'm American but live in Asia, being vague because I don't want this traced back to me if the situation is as bad as it seems. I don't know if I should give some sort of background or anything, but up until about 7 months ago, I lived with my mom, 39, and my dad, 41, plus my little sister, 9. I say was because my sister is no longer here, she's in boarding school. I want to preface this by saying we are not bad kids, we're half white, half Asian. When my grandpa, in dad's side, got sick 4 years ago we moved here so my dad can take care of him. Me and my sister worked hard to learn the language, despite her age, she actually caught on better than me and I was so impressed with her. The issue began with grandma, she would really look down on my sister and I love my sister and didn't like it one bit. My mom said it's cultural and I shouldn't make a fuss but it was hard when grandma really started making it obvious, she got me clothes, games, etc., but my sis got no attention. I should mention that 4 years ago, we lived with grandpa and grandma. In that time of me getting spoiled, my sister got reprimanded for everything she did. I swear, it was super unfair you wouldn't believe. Just under a year ago grandpa passed and my parents decided we'd stay here since I already speak and read pretty fluently. Grandma spoke to everyone about how rude and unladylike my sister is and my parents went along with it when I completely think that's wrong. 7 months ago her and grandma went out and my parents said she'd be at boarding school for the summer, just the summer. After 3 months I got anxious and asked when she'd be back and my ended up crying at the question. I was talked to by my dad and he said she loved boarding school so much she didn't want to come back yet. Like, is that how boarding school works? I don't think so. Maybe I've been watching too much TV or reading too much Reddit, but we're in another country and I swear what they were doing was emotional abuse. Still, it gets worse. After 5 months, I still hadn't gotten any contact, no message, no letters, nothing, and that's when my dad started making her room into his office space. We actually got into a big fight over it and I ended up with more chores, but he never answered why he was doing it if she'd be back soon. Anyway, it's now been 7 months since that car trip that took my sister away and the final nail in the coffin hit. I was looking through the attic for my mom and found a box with some of her old stuff, including her phone. Why wouldn't she have her phone? I really just want to know if there's anything I can do. No one will tell me which boarding school she's at. I'm told not to worry about it because I'm a child. I know I'm too young to do much, but if there's anything I can do, please help. When I think about it I can't stop remembering the way my mom cried that day. It makes me shiver. I've been imagining the worst and I'd hate if it ended up being something along my mind. Update. Hi Reddit. It's been a crazy few weeks but I absolutely needed to update as soon as possible. Sorry my post got locked ANS. I appreciate everyone who spoke to me via DMs. Sorry to those I couldn't get to, it was a lot. I should get on with the most important of the update, what I finally ended up doing. So thanks to the super community that is Reddit, I was able to get in touch with a few different sources, the least favorite of which was a phone call towards those that help find trafficked children. I knew my family would be investigated and actually went to meet up with another family in that time, so basically, a Redditor close to my age, who I'll keep private, met with me and she had already showed my story to her family. They ended up letting me stay with them for a bit and made the proper calls to make sure it wasn't illegal. I actually even specified that I wasn't running from home, and I'd come back after the investigation. It didn't sit so well with authorities and I was actually forced to go back home, but it only got stranger from there. I went back home to a completely empty house, even grandma was gone, so I was allowed to stay with the other family for the time being. They were extremely kind. For a week I didn't get any news and, bless her mother's heart, but I was told I had a home here no matter the results. So, a few days after a week had passed, I get a call and it turns out they found my sister. My family had been taken in for questioning and were placed in holding for quite a while. I'm not sure why they didn't tell me this immediately though. I don't actually know the full story, but my sister was living close 700 kilometers away, yeah, nearly a whole day's drive. It wasn't summer school, or boarding school, or anything like that. My dad sold her to get married. My mom was off the hook as one, I still needed a parent, and two, she wasn't in on it until it was a decent way in. My dad and grandma have been arrested though and I'm back living with my mom and sister now. I'm still in contact with Redditor that let me stay with her and I'll forever be grateful. I have no idea what would have happened if I was around when authorities came knocking. She's my angel. On a more depressing note, my sister doesn't speak much, but she seemed to cheer up after I let her read my post. She said she felt abandoned and alone, among other things, but seeing how I and plenty of strangers gave their hearts for her made her very happy, so thank you all. Sorry for being vague here, but I'm trying to protect identities. This isn't over by a long shot, there's still things that are going to happen, but I have my sister, and that's all thanks to Reddit. Thank you.
I keep meeting my birth mom, but she doesn't know it's me. She had me when she was 14, and I, 24M, was given up for adoption. My parents told me about her growing up. I still have the letter she wrote me that she asked if they could give it to me if they wanted. It's crazy reading it sometimes and knowing it was a literal child who wrote it saying she's sorry she couldn't be my mommy, but she hopes I'm happy. She was open to having contact, but we moved from my dad's job when I was 11, and then it seemed impossible to find her. But luckily I did. She's working at this small restaurant, and I keep going, but she doesn't know it's me. We talk sometimes, and she seems like a nice lady. Sometime when she says something like, "Do you want a refill, honey?" or uses another term like that, I want to tell her, "IDK, why it makes me nervous." We talk sometimes and she seems really genuine. If it's not super busy, she's more open to talking about random stuff. I literally drive 2 hours to come eat at this place just to see her. And it's like she knows me already because I'm there once or 2 times a week for the past 3 months, so she always says hi with a big smile. But man, if only she knew. Update. Well, I did it, I told her. And yeah, it was pretty heavy. My heart was even beating fast. I kept trying to think how to tell her. Many of the comments on my last post here mentioned writing her a letter, just how she wrote a letter for me. Originally that was the plan, but for me it felt like I needed to say it. Oh, really quick, I want to say thanks to everyone for their love and support. Mostly to all the birth parents out there who shared their stories with me. That's what really helped push me to have the courage to confront her. It meant so much, so thanks. Everything happened day before yesterday, by the way. I did wait for her to be done with her shift, and that was when they were closing the restaurant already, and waited in the parking lot. We said hi when she saw me first, but then I told her there was something serious that she needed to know. First told her sorry for keeping it from her this long. She didn't react until I actually pulled out her letter, and she started bawling from there, like screaming and crying at the same time, and didn't even have to finish the whole "I'm your son" speech. She just saw it and knew. It was crazy. Next thing I know, she's hugging me instantly, but then she pulled back and asked if it's okay to hug me. Obviously it is, and we're just there hugging and crying in the parking lot. It hit her hard though. Her legs gave out for a second, so I had to actually hold her up while she's still hugging me for a min. What really got me was her saying to me, "Look how big you got." Also, hearing her cry made me cry too. She went back to open the restaurant up. She wouldn't take no for an answer. We had coffee, ate a slice of their pie inside, and talked. So many stuff we talked about. She told me the second time I came to the restaurant she got a feeling, but for her it was hard to believe it was me. So that feeling she had was pushed way down. Because she told me for years after I was adopted she saw kids that would be my age and used to think they were me. Then she would be crying in public. It fucked with her mind a lot and made her depressed, so she didn't want to do the same when she saw me getting her hopes up like that. She says I look so much like my biological dad when he was younger, though. We talked about him too. They stayed in contact with each other in case I ever reached out to one of them, so it would be easier to contact the other. I didn't have hope about finding my biological dad since he was never mentioned, so I'm glad they both planned for this future scenario. She told me about how they wanted to keep me, especially my biological dad. He didn't want me to be adopted. But he knew they had to, because they were just kids. It took him a long time to get past it after I was born, she told me. That's why he didn't leave anything, because he didn't want to believe he might not see me again. We talked for hours, till almost 2 in the morning. They closed at 11. She just wanted to know everything about me, but her main thing was, am I happy? Were my parents good to me? Did I have a happy childhood? And I did. I told her thank you for helping to give me this life. We both cried again. She cried the most. Everything was very emotional for her. Sometimes she would look really happy, but then get sad again. After my 18th birthday, she was hoping I would find her, that's why she stayed in the same city. But since I didn't, she always thought maybe I resented her, wasn't told I'm adopted, or maybe had decided it was better not to have her around. It made me feel bad for not telling her sooner. She told me it's not my fault and I did right going at my own pace. Honestly, she's so sweet. The way she kept looking at me with the biggest smile, it made me emotional sometimes. Makes you think, how can someone who's been a total stranger her whole life look at you with so much love? It's wild. We learned so much about each other. She asked me if we could have dinner soon to keep talking, and if at some point in the future, if I'm interested, come over to her house so I can meet her husband. That all sounded really great. We exchanged numbers. After I left, she sent a text telling me thank you for giving her this gift that she didn't know if it would ever come. My girlfriend came over and she hugged me while I cried. I wasn't sad, BTW, these were happy tears. Everything went better than I expected. There was still emotionally heavy stuff, but I'm still glad that we got to open up to each other. Met my biological dad for the first time ever, and I'm very happy about it. Update. Lots of you asked to let you know how it goes meeting my biological dad, and to say it was emotional is an understatement. I've been feeling so many things since this all happened. We met a few days ago. Was originally supposed to be almost 2 weeks ago, but shit kept coming up. Work, and then I got sick, not COVID, for days. But we made it happen. TBH, this was more nervous for me because I didn't know anything about him. With my bio mom, it was different because I watched her from far and got to know her a little before it came out. I asked my bio mom if she could be there too, just because she knows him better, so it was the two of us waiting for him at this park. He was already crying before we even got to him. This guy is strong too, so he pulled me in for the biggest bear hug and crying. He told me he wants me to know that they loved me so much and he loves me. I lost count how many times he'd come back in for one more hug. This definitely got to him, and he kept saying thank you God a few times. Looking at my face. The feelings, man. The feelings. We had so many of them. Hearing him tell me how much they love me even back then. It meant so much for me to hear that, and NGL that had me holding him tight too. I'm sure to everyone at the park it was weird seeing 3 crying people, LOL. My bio dad said he cried so many times just driving over here he didn't think he had any more tears until he saw us. When we were all sitting down, it hit me that my bio mom was not lying when she said we look alike. Obviously he's older, but still, holy shit, the similarities. He brought gifts too, which was a surprise. It was really nice. He told me I don't have to keep them if I don't want it, but he felt weird not coming with anything, and he's wanted to give this to me for a long time. One was a teddy bear holding a picture frame of him at the hospital holding me. He was 15 years old. It's still crazy to realize that. And then the other thing was a journal. The journal thing was stuff he said he started writing to me years after I was adopted. He was in therapy, and that helped him to cope, thinking he would give them to me one day. His way of still feeling connected to me. I haven't read everything yet, but some of the pages were his thoughts, and like if he's talking to me. How he felt when they found out she was pregnant, then the adoption, everything going on in his mind when he first got to hold me as a baby. I didn't even know he was at the hospital too. It was not what I was expecting. It really got me. I read some more of what he wrote last night that really got me crying. I'm sad to think how much this affected them emotionally for years. Also, think it's pretty sweet he wanted to write this for me. We talked about his own life, which was pretty hard. His struggles with home life and the feelings he had about giving me up. Then, he wanted to know everything about me. Basically with the same questions my bio mom had. I made sure they knew they made the right decision, because my life was pretty great. He looked like he wanted to cry when he knew that, because that's all they hoped for. And it was something he always wondered about for years. My bio mom left a bit after we were more comfortable so we could talk more in private once it didn't feel too awkward between us. From there, he told me stories about how he met my bio mom. Sometimes he'd point out stuff he noticed about me that reminds him of her or me, and him having similar likes. Example, I love eating mangoes. I can eat them all day, and that's what I bought when we bought snacks at the park. He told me my bio mom was obsessed with mangoes 7 before she got pregnant. While pregnant, she craved it even more. Just cool info to know even if it's random stuff, lol. It's still stuff we have in common, and we both have lots. Both like hiking, playing pool. He was a swimmer in college, and I was on a swim team in high school. Both love rock music, especially 90s. My bio dad was really open about sharing everything. Like, he really was getting ready for this meeting. He hoped it would happen, and he prayed every day to see me again because he had so many things he wanted to tell me. Overall, really good first meeting. I'm glad how it went. He's open to the idea of meeting my parents. After I told them about all this, because they definitely want to meet my bio parents again if I'm comfortable with that. Obviously, if my bio parents are too. Let's see when that happens. IDK how it's gonna feel for me. They've met each other before I was even born, but I never had them at the same place, so that'll be interesting, lol. Me and my parents met up yesterday to have breakfast so I could tell them everything. My mom was so happy how it went. She actually cried too when I was telling them about both their reactions. My dad was proud because he knew how hard it was the months after finding my bio mom and not really wanting to make contact yet. I'm really happy to have their support because it's hard not to feel guilty about wanting to know more my bio parents. They gave me a really good life, so for a while it's felt like maybe to them I'm showing them that wasn't good enough for me, and I'd rather have my bio parents. But they told me many times they want me to do this for me, and they know how much I love them. And I really do. Finding them and meeting them was hard, but it was so worth it to me, and seeing their reactions made it feel even more worth it. Still can't believe it sometimes. I'm just realizing this has turned into a long post. My bad, haha. Writing this has been therapeutic, TBH. Kind of thinking back to everything that's happened. Feeling really grateful. Again, want to say thank you to everyone who has been on this journey with me. Everyone who sent me their own stories, their love, their encouragement. You guys have beautiful hearts, and I'm happy I had somewhere to talk about all this and receive so much love back. Just want to say to all the adopted kids out there, I wish you guys luck, and that you find what you're looking for. It's not easy at all. I feel fortunate that things didn't go badly, or that my bio parents aren't bad people. And to all the birth parents out there who made this sacrifice, thank you. It's because of you there are kids out there like me who gotta have a great life with loving parents.
My mom, F48, is trying to force me, M17, to fly to another state and take a pre-job drug test for my brother, 22. To be honest, I have done this in the past. I have taken pre-hire drug tests for him. I hated doing it, but I did it. We look enough alike on his DL that we pull it off, and people at those clinics are busier making sure you don't sneak something in your pants than with ID pic. My brother asked me first, 'cause he knew he was going to apply a couple of months ago. I said no and told him to get clean, and he got pissed at me. Then got my mom to take his side, and here we are. I hate doing this, because I hate that I'm doing something illegal, and I hate that my brother won't stop smoking weed long enough to get a good job. I have nothing against weed, I just don't smoke. I hate how lazy and irresponsible he is. I would have to fly out and miss some school. But my mom is threatening to revoke my work permit. I work at a burger place part-time. I love my job, but I can only keep it if my GPA stays high, and my mom and my guidance counselor sign a permission slip. Don't want to do anything illegal anymore. Don't want to keep bailing out my brother. I hate doing this, period. My mom also threatened to kick me out of the house, but I think that one is a bluff. I would have to fly out Sunday and I have a big chemistry test on Monday. I feel like I have no way out. This suck. Let me know if any good ideas come to mind to help me do the best thing. Update November 22nd, 2015, 6 weeks later. It didn't go too well for me. My mom dropped me at the airport. I didn't get on the plane. I just sat there when they called for my plane to board. The airline lady asked me if I wanted to board because she saw I was the only one left in the waiting area. I felt scared, I'm not going to lie. That was the hardest moment of my life by far. The shit hit the fan when my brother found out I wasn't getting off the plane that night. He went to pick me up at the airport. My mom called and called until finally she just texted me to not come home. I spent the night at the airport and I took the bus to school on that Monday. I took my chemistry test and totally bombed it. I got a C and wish I go have a do-over on that because I know all that stuff. I don't know what happened there. I got fired from my job because my mom revoked my permission slip to work. I spoke to my boss, but there was nothing he could do to keep me working for him. He said he respects me and that he would hire me when I'm 18, but nothing he can do now. I don't live at home anymore. I got kicked out. That whole thing was bad. My self-esteem is in the dumps because I don't like staying at my friend's house where I stay now. Sometimes I think that all I had to do was take the stupid drug test and everything would be fine now. Thanksgiving is coming, and it's weird not having a place or a family to have that holiday with. I thought it would all blow over by now, but it hasn't. My mom is angrier about this than I thought. She moved and rented another house, so my old house is done. To me, it makes a difference. Honestly, I would love to say, hey, I did the right thing and it's all good. But it's not that easy. I'm lost for now, at least. I don't know how to move on without a home to go home to. I have to confess that I wish my mom would call me and tell me I was right. It's just not that easy to just leave your family behind. So anyway, I don't know what else to say. I have my clothes and my books and my school stuff. I'll finish off the year. I'm wishing time will fly by and I can start college and just try to move on. Sometimes I feel like I made a mountain out of a molehill. I F-ed everything up. But I can't wait to have kids so I can help them do the right things without punishing them. That's the one thing I can know I will for sure do when I have kids. For now, things suck and they're hard. Being kind of homeless sucks. Staying at somebody else's house is not the same as having your own bed.
Really weird things are happening to me, 22F. Not sure if it's an elaborate prank or if I'm seriously mentally ill. Okay. I've never ever felt the need to post here, but I feel like I'm losing my mind. I don't even know where to start. My mind is so jumbled. I guess it started 2 weeks ago at work. I work in a factory, but I don't do the labor. I'm more of a spreadsheet maker, a book balancer, a secretary type thing. Really informal, but it's my uncle's company and I needed a job. Yada yada. Good pay. I was sitting at my desk with nothing to do, and I hear my boss, not my uncle, just another coworker and a friend of his, go, Phil sighs as he looks at the weather. I look up like, huh? And he looks at me like, huh? He didn't say anything. I was like, that's weird. But oh well. Anyway. And then the next day I was talking to some coworkers on the floor asking them work stuff, and one of them called me a bitch, but when I called him out, him and everyone else looked at me like I was insane. I apologized and we all laughed it off. Factory is loud, right? People mishear things all the time. Except, I was at Walmart. I know, class. And one of the workers there was putting away stock and I swear to God he looked straight at me and said the chicken was just killed, but I asked him what he meant and I felt so bad because he looked so confused and like I was crazy. He hadn't even opened his mouth apparently. Shit like this has been happening so much. My friend even pulled me aside to ask if I was feeling okay. Small things are happening too. My boyfriend says he's making salmon for dinner. I hear him preparing salmon. I smell salmon. Then he brings it out and it's lasagna. I asked him where the salmon was and he was like, what? I said lasagna tonight and brushed it off like I'm being silly. I could have sworn this one shirt I owned was green and not teal. Shit is changing and people are saying stuff but they are not. People are narrating their lives sometimes. There's no way my friends could be pranking me, not when random people on the street are doing this too. I'm so scared. I don't want to be thrown in a mental hospital. Not trying to offend mentally ill people, I'm so scared. I feel like my mind is slowly melting. Update November 29th, 2015, 5 days later. Older post is here. Wow. Wow. I never could have ever in my wildest imagination that my last post would get this much attention. I was my own boyfriend's Reddit account on his phone and actually saw my own post near the first page. I was floored. Then he saw what I was looking at and we had a pretty awkward conversation. Basically asked me why I posted something like that. He'd read it but only when he saw me on the page it clicked that he saw the same username on my laptop on Reddit. He never imagined it was me. I did change some details about my life in the last post. So we talked for a long time and finally he said that he was taking me to emergency. I didn't want to go. I just wanted to wait for my appointment. Not because I didn't think it was serious, but because I had no clue how to explain what was happening to the doctors and nurses, especially for it to warrant an emerg visit. So we went, and he was very understanding. Just asked me how much I remembered from the past couple days. Stuff he's said, and stuff I'd apparently heard. We were both scared, ha ha ha. I got to emerg. Very slow. I live in a smallish town but we have a giant hospital for some reason. We're close to a lot of other towns, and they use our hospital. Close to Toronto too. Anyway, it was slow. Just one father and a sick child. I went in and basically had to explain what was happening and honestly, the nurses were like WTF? This bitch is crazy. But when I saw a doctor he took me very very seriously. It was very nice. He wrote down basically everything I said. I got some x-rays and they asked me questions. You know the whole spiel. Anyway, the point of this update was to tell you guys that I have a tumor. That's really scary writing out, but I have a tumor. In my brain. It hasn't sunken in yet that tomorrow my brain is going to be under the knife. I don't want to share more because I've gotten a lot of messages from people who were like, guessing my name. And where I'm from. Apparently I remind people of their friends or crazy exes. I'm scared to miss work but my boss was more than understanding. He sort of looked at me like I was insane when I asked how long I should be out of work. I don't know. I need to pay rent. We'll figure it out. Thank you all for your love and support. I will update whenever I remember to. I am scared, but alive. Update April 18th, 2025. Am I allowed to make an update here? I don't use social media much anymore, and Reddit looks completely different than the last time I logged in. My friend sent me this basically immediately after it was posted asking if it was me. It was so long ago. I kind of cringe seeing how I wrote. But I'll give myself some flack because I was young and going through a terrible time. That BF didn't last long. He bailed when he found out how long my recovery would be and what it entailed. I moved back in with my family, who are all nurses and caregivers, so it was really the smoothest recovery I could have had. I did years of therapy, both physical and mental. I did eventually end up losing my factory job, but that honestly wasn't their fault. Admittedly, I no-showed to work a lot and was spiraling for a few years, but I eventually landed on my feet, found my dream man, lumberjack type, sorry for being a Canadian stereotype, and his mother had gone through, almost, the same thing I did when she was younger, so we really bonded over that. I won't say I'm having a perfect time. Life is life. I'm child-free, have a job I tolerate, have money to spend on my friends and family, and am generally very happy. I keep off social media because I already survived a brain tumor. I'm not looking for more, smiley face. And for Americans who are going to ask, yes, it was free.
My A29F parents ghosted me 5 years ago after my wedding and now reached out. What do I do? My husband, 30M, used to be my boss. About 9 years ago I started working as his assistant. We spent about 2.5 years ignoring our mutual attraction until we gave in. We then went to HR, who reassigned me, and the whole thing was strictly above board from the time we began dating. I got pregnant about a year later, and my husband and I decided to just get married. While we'd only really been dating for about 1.5 years, we knew each other completely, loved each other, lived together, and there was a baby on the way. We knew how it would look, but I had to leave the company anyway due to problems with my new boss, so we didn't anticipate this causing any issues, except with my parents. They, 62M57F, have always been overprotective, so I knew they wouldn't like me dating my boss, and hadn't told them, but I had to tell them if I wanted them at my wedding. We decided to be mostly honest with them, about how it was strictly professional until it wasn't, how the second it got unprofessional we went to HR, how he had never taken advantage of me, but now we wanted to get married and we wanted them there. We did not mention the baby, because I felt that giving them that information in addition to the rest all at once would just break them. I was only about 4 months along when the wedding happened, so the bump was easily hidden by a flowy dress. The wedding itself went off without a hitch, and apart from my mother pulling me into the bathroom shortly before the ceremony to ask if I was sure about this, which I said I was, my parents seemed to take it well. The ceremony and reception were at 2 different venues, and we had to travel from one to the other, and my parents never arrived at the reception. I called them and got ignored, and then my brother called them and they told him that they were going home. I don't remember the exact reason they gave, but it amounted to them being tired and uncomfortable. I tried contacting them after the wedding, but found that I was blocked on everything except email, which I used to send them a long letter essentially saying that I'm an adult who made an adult choice and I hope they can respect that. 5 years later, I have not heard from my parents since my wedding. My husband and I are not big on social media in general, but I recently posted something for our 5th anniversary in which I mentioned our 2 kids and 3rd on the way. Within a month of making this post, my parents left a voicemail saying they saw the post, and, having had no idea that they had grandchildren previously, now want to meet them. I haven't responded and there have been a few follow-ups since then asking why I haven't. I don't know what to do, but my gut instinct is that 5 years is too long, and it's about the kids, not about them respecting my choices or relationship. However, I can't help but feel that I'm being unfair, and my brother agrees, because I told them in my email that if they could learn to respect my choice and my marriage eventually, then we could talk, and now I'm retroactively applying a time limit. Edit, can't find a way to work this in organically, but my husband is not white. I am, as are my parents. I don't think this is a race thing or that my parents are racist, and neither does my husband, and we don't understand why they would want to meet our mixed-race children if they were racist, but this element is still gnawing at me. Should I reach out to them? If I did, how would we go about rebuilding the relationship? Update, October 22nd, 2021. I asked to talk yesterday. We were on Zoom within an hour. It was my parents and me and my husband. They asked to see the kids, and I said they could see them eventually, dependent on them earning our trust and convincing us they were going to be positive additions to the kids' lives. They asked to start by reading me a letter that they claimed to have written on my wedding day. It said that they were uncomfortable with me marrying my former boss as they thought he took advantage of me, so they left between the wedding and reception to avoid a scene, but they wanted me to know they were here for me despite their issues with him. They added that they would have sent this to me the morning after my wedding, but then I sent my email about them needing to respect my choices, and they were so ashamed they couldn't bring themselves to send theirs. Seeing my anniversary post made them realize how much they've missed in 5 years and they really don't want to miss any more. I had some questions, like what the big deal was with me marrying my former boss, and they said that it just wasn't what they had in mind for my wedding day and my future spouse. I asked why they even came to the wedding at all if they didn't support the marriage, and my dad responded that he wanted to walk his daughter down the aisle as it was the only chance he'd get. The way it was phrased implied that they had intentionally only come to the wedding so he could give me away, and always planned to leave halfway, and because he said my daughter, and didn't talk to me directly, it was pretty clear he was thinking about my older sister, who passed away. My husband caught that, too, and said that if they were talking about me, they should address me directly, then added that if they had planned to leave they should have told us as we wouldn't have invited them, and the fact they waited 5 years to reach out was going to take more reasons than shame as a father, he didn't understand how they could ignore their daughter for years, or only get back in touch when we had kids. My dad snapped that he wasn't going to take this from a cushy, a slur meaning dark-skinned. My mother immediately tried to run damage control but I ended the call. They have since messaged me several times trying to explain that calling my husband a racial slur wasn't indicative of a racist attitude, and he wouldn't have said that in front of the kids, so they should still get to meet them. I've spent 5 years wondering how they were so offended by me marrying my boss that it earned no contact for half a decade. Turns out they're just racist. It's almost nice to find out. If it was just the boss thing, I would have sympathy for them and we might even be able to reconcile. But with this, it's now just a question of if I'm going to knowingly expose my mixed-race children to a couple of racists, which I am obviously not going to do.
My family disowned me 15 years ago. Complete no contact. Now all at once they want back in my life and are stalking me. I finally confronted them. I don't know if this goes, hey. I just needed to get it out. I confronted them today and I can't stop crying or shaking. I don't know why. I don't know what's wrong with me right now. I'm finally calming down a little to get this done. So I, 36 male, got into some trouble 15 years ago. I take all the responsibility for this, and even to this day I carry all the shame, guilt, and embarrassment for it. Also, this might come up. This is not cultural or religion. It's just shame to the family name. The situation when I was 19, my ID was stolen and being used in another state and created a situation where my driver's license was suspended nationwide. Somehow any and all notifications from the other state never made it to me. I started doing all the necessary things I needed to do to try and fix the problem. I, however, had a couple of tickets in my current state that I needed to pay but couldn't because I needed to pay my rent and keep my apartment. Also, at the time, my full-time job was having problems and was borderline shutting down. So to try and make ends meet, I was doing a lot of freelance work as well. Again, my fault. I knew the company was in trouble, but I was still holding out hope that things would get better. I was hoping that a couple more freelance jobs and I would be able to finally pay the tickets. This was never the case, and the long story short of it, I was arrested and spent 2 weeks in jail. Not ideal, but I guess in the long run it worked out for the best by clearing the tickets in my home state. However, my family felt otherwise, and I was completely disowned because of this. I lost everything and everyone. The only reason I still had my apartment was because I had enough to cover the rent and the freelance work kept up. It took another 6 months, but I was finally able to get the other state to release my driver's license. I decided that since my family hated me, I didn't need them. So a year later, I changed my last name, phone number, and email. My social media is locked down so tight you would think I was hiding national security secrets. I was able to finish college and get settled into my career, and at this point I'm happier than I have ever been. Into current time, and 2 weeks ago there was a knock on my door and it was my mom and dad. Again, it had been 15 years and I hadn't spoken to them not one word. The only thing I could get out of my mouth was, "How did you find me and what are you doing here?" My mom's response was $5,000 to a PI. Finally, a search of Facebook with just your first name found you, and the PI confirmed it was you. I responded, "You didn't answer my second question. What are you doing here?" My mom again. "It's been 15 years. Looking at where you are, it seems you have learned your lesson and you are succeeding. You've missed out on a lot of things." I ended with, "Yes, I have learned my lesson. One of them is don't think anyone will ever help you or be understanding. Even your family. And yes, I did succeed. And I did it entirely without you. Please leave and don't ever come back." Shut the door in their face, locked it, checked the back door, and closed all the curtains. I'm guessing they hung around for another 15 minutes, knocking, demanding to be let in. I went back to bed, turned the fan on high, and went back to sleep. I did some research, and I have missed out on a lot. I have nieces and nephews, brothers and sisters-in-laws. But the truth is, I don't know any of them, and I don't think I need to. I live a very quiet life. I can count on two hands how many friends I actually have. A friend said I may have taken it too far, that I should have given them a chance, and if I didn't like what they had to say, then I could have told them to go away. I was hoping that this was going to be the end of it, but not they have taken to stalking me. I'll be completely honest. They are harmless, but just a real pain in the ass, and also I have been F-king with them and having some fun with the help of a friend. He now calls them fleas and will check on me asking if I have fleas or not. It's kind of funny. If I say yes, then it's game on. The first night he came over and we walked downtown to a really expensive restaurant that I knew they were never going to go to. Another night we went to the porn store. That was the best one. This past week, the way my days off fell, I had a 5-day stretch, so I decided to go to the city for a few days. I'm walking distance to the Amtrak station and they followed me. I kept my AirPods in the whole time and I know they were trying to talk to me, but I ignored them the entire time. People on the platform even were telling me that they were talking to me, and I said that I know, but I don't want to deal with them. The train came and I got on and left them to watch. I loved it. It got to the point I finally had to acknowledge them. They weren't going to go away, so we met at the park across from my apartment. I didn't hold anything back. I told them this was the one and only time I was going to talk to them. I took a page from the Matlock series and told them I was their judge. I was their jury. Thank you, Olympia Lawrence. I then told them that as far as I was concerned, they were guilty of anything and everything, and all I was doing was hearing what they had to say before I walked away from them. I asked them that why now, after 15 years, they are demanding to be back in my life and why they made the decisions they did to disown me. They told me that I ruined the family name and that the shame I brought to the family was horrible and that this was the only way to make it right was to get rid of me. They said that recently my name has been coming up in conversation and that the family has grown with a lot of new people. That brother and sister-in-law are asking questions about who is Brinley. That I have a niece who they think I would love and get along with, and the same for a nephew who was born last year, and now should be the time to fix things. They said that looking at my apartment and the life I had, that I must have learned my lesson about being a better person and managing my life better. I finally cut them off and told them that I couldn't stand to hear anymore. I was at the point I could hear my heart beating in my ears. I told them that I did everything completely by myself. Nobody from that life exists anymore. Not one person. That they just need to tell everyone the truth, that I was in jail for 2 weeks, and because of this the decision was made to get rid of me. I told them that I did it all on my own, and that my one cousin Jean, who is only a cousin by marriage, was the one who was there for me, hence why I took her last name. I told them that to this day I'm doing everything on my own and rely on nobody and don't need or want them in any way of my life. They made their decisions and I'm making mine. I told them this will be the last time we talk and that I would be going to see a lawyer to see if there was anything that could be done to keep them away from me, and that if they continued to follow me around or show up at my apartment, I would have them arrested for trespassing. And I went back home and again locked everything down, pulled the curtains, and have been crying since. Update. Many of you have been asking for an update. First and foremost, thank you all for your responses. I was overwhelmed. I read every single one. I just couldn't keep up to respond to them. I also worked some extra shifts and had some really nice overtime, which right now comes in handy. Please just know I was not ignoring you. I just couldn't keep up. This isn't the update that many of you were most likely hoping for. I haven't not heard from my family since I confronted them. I'm hoping that it's all done and over, but at the same time I'm thinking they are trying something else. I wanted to address some other things. Many are saying they are out for money or body parts. That they see I'm successful and such. I can't see this being the case. I truly don't think it's money. If they were able to drop $5,000 for a PI, then I can't see them hurting financially. My dad worked as an ORD for his entire career and made good money. My mom worked for a global corporation as a historical document manager. I didn't ask, but I'm thinking that they might even still be working. Others said maybe they need body parts. I can't see this being the case either because all of these would have been mentioned the first or the last time we talked. People have mentioned they see me successful and want in on it and take the credit, saying that they are responsible for that and how they treated me. I'm successful in my own way. My education is in healthcare management and I work as a unit secretary. I've been here for a while and I truly love my job. I'm at the top of my pay scale and that's okay. I have made a life for myself. Yes, I do have some money stashed away. I live below my means to do what I have done. I'm single, no kids, so it has allowed me to save money. And now on with the update. This is a long update because it's part of a conversation I had with my cousin. I have not heard from any of them since the last meet where I confronted them. I'm hoping that they are just gone at this point. I truly don't want anything to do with ANY of them. I don't care that I have nieces or nephews or that I have new brother and sister-in-laws. I would have to know my sister and brother and my parents to know all these new people. And frankly, all of them are strangers. And it just brings up a lot of bad emotions. My cousin Jean is the only person who I have anything to do with, and she has been my rock. I can't begin to thank her enough for all she has done. She has been on vacation for a few weeks, so she doesn't know much of what happened. She got back and came over the other night. She showed up with wine, pizza, and cheesecake. God, I love that woman. I opened the door and was greeted with, "The wise woman has arrived and has brought the makings of a great evening." I started crying to her response. However, it looks like I should have arrived a few days ago. She set everything on the counter and just hugged me to get me calmed down. Finally, as she opened the wine and fixed up dinner, I told her everything. At the end, she got a vindictive smile on her face and was like, "We needed to talk." It's time for some family secrets to be told. First, she started with telling me that regardless of what others had said, what happened wasn't my fault. I was stuck in the perfect storm which just blew up. She told me she saw my folder that had all of the work I had done to fix the problem, but it just didn't go fast enough. She reminded me that I didn't kill anyone, I didn't deal drugs or anything like that. I was stuck in a situation that didn't get fixed fast enough. She went on to tell me that it was no surprise that when I did the name change that I chose the one I did. Come to find out, it was the last name I was born under, which was my grandmother's, my mother's mother, last maiden name. Jean, don't let your parents fool you. They are not the pure pillars of community that they want you to believe. I have always known that their relationship was not the best. But when I was born, they were split up, and my mom was trying to hide me from my dad. My grandparents didn't like him, so it was decided to give me my grandmother's family name. She was getting more and more pissed off as she spoke. So let's talk about names, since they are so hell-bent of how you shame the family name. Your mother was the one who was born under the influential names. Her mother's family, the name you took, was pretty much owned 2 of the local towns in our county. Your grandfather's name owned a few businesses in a different town. Your father's family was never heard of. They were from a different state and moved here for work purposes. Your dad has been riding off of your mother's name and connections. Even to this day, your dad's family is pretty much a bunch of unknowns. On top of that, even if your grandparents were alive, they would have been completely behind you and wouldn't have bought into that whole bullshit of shaming the family name. The only time I ever saw her in a mood like this was when I was in college, and when she introduced herself to the class, she looked square at me and made it clear that she had no favorites. All of this has really made me look at my parents in a different way. And none of it's positive. It just reaffirms what I want even more, which is for them to just go away and never come back. To the small few of you saying this is fake, fan fiction and whatnot, go for it. Apparently all of you live in perfect worlds with perfect families, and you most likely say the same thing to every post you read. I couldn't give 2 shits, a flying F or rats as what you think. I just need to get this out. Update. I don't really know if this counts as an update so much as it does as maybe just information that I have and was given. First, to answer a common question. Am I going to seek out my siblings and their families? The answer is no. And that answer is set in stone. And the reason is relatively simple. At least to me. My siblings are 2 and 4 years younger than I am. So when everything happened, they were old enough to understand and know what was happening. I waited for 1.5 years before I changed my last name and all my contact information. They could have easily reached out to me, stood up our parents, and come to my defense. But they did not. So now, all this time later, I just don't feel the need to contact them or reconnect. To be completely honest, they are complete and total strangers, and I really don't see much of a reason to reconnect. People have been asking if I'm okay. The answer is yes. I'm feeling a lot better. This got too much in my head. But I realized that I was way overthinking this. Nothing really changes. I have not heard from any of them. My best friend took me to his lawyer, and I gave him everything and told him everything. He said that since reputation and family name are so important, that a simple cease and desist letter should do the job. That he was sure my family wouldn't want their reputation and story splashed across the local news. I also feel like because of my cousin, I in general feel better about things as well. Hell, if no fury like my cousin Jean pissed off. The other day, Jean called and said that we need to take a day and go do something. Get out of town and just forget about everything. I agreed with no thought to it. We always have a great time when we do an outing. This I got to her place and immediately went up to her kitchen for coffee to figure out what we were going to do. I got to the kitchen and she had a bunch of papers scattered out doing a bunch of research. I asked what she was working on. Her response: "Your parents piss me off. All I want to do is go over to their house and beat the hell out of both of them." She took a drink of her coffee. Let's talk names again. She started to research our lineage and realized some things. She told me that if there was still anything left of our last name, businesses and family money, she was almost 100% certain that I would be the sole heir to anything left if there was anything left. I asked how this was possible. That, if anything, it would be her husband's remaining siblings, and any children from those survivors. She said it was because of my grandmother that she was one of the originals. For lack of words, I was born under the last name, and even though my parents changed it later, I changed it back. She said it could be considered along the lines of succession. My grandmother was an original. All I could do was just kind of laugh. It's so funny how vested she is in this. I made the comment it all sounds good and it would be nice. But that if her one sister-in-law had anything to say about it, she and her family would have taken it all by now. They already got the farm. Jean ended it with, I would have helped you get what was rightfully yours. I don't think she is completely accurate, but it's a fun thought. I laugh at how vested she is in this situation. I think it makes me that much more grateful to have her in my life. After that, we took off for the rest of the day and went shopping, had lunch, went and had manis and PDs done, and had dinner. But I'm good. I think we are good. I truly don't think I'll hear anything from my family. I think once they get the letter, it will all be done and over.